All right, so welcome to episode 2 of my Working with Lower Stress series. As I mentioned in the first video, this is taken largely from my reading and interpretation of these two books. They'll be linked down in the description, probably as Amazon affiliate links. So if you buy through Amazon through those links, I might get a small commission that really helps out the channel. So for number 2, for item number 2 in our list of tips to work with lower stress, we have periodically sorting your inboxes. And this is as a specific activity, so not just throughout the day you periodically sort through your inboxes. Set a time, or maybe multiple times a day, but specific times throughout the week, throughout your, whatever cadence you plan your schedule on. Make sure you take time to sort through your inboxes. This includes email inboxes, Slack, other sorts of communication tools that you might have, or even physical inboxes. If you have an in the office environment, make sure you sort through your inboxes on a periodic basis. The goal is to get everything out of your inbox and into something else. So some places this might end up are your to-do list. You might file it away as reference material. And actually, this book in particular goes into detail about how he recommends you handle reference material. It's actually a pretty good idea. It's relatively recent that I read this book, so I haven't actually adopted that style of filing away reference material. I had my own style, which had its own pros and cons. But there is a good way to handle your reference material described in that book. So that's to do. There's reference material. Then there's no further action. And what I mean by that is just it came in, it registered, drop it. You don't need to think about it ever again. And you'd actually be surprised how much of what we get actually falls into that category. So realistically, you should be able to take everything that's come in and sort it into one of those 3 buckets. Either you have to do something with it, either at some point in time or at a specific point in time. It's reference. You don't need to necessarily do anything with it, but you want to have it available if you need to refer to it at a later date. And no further action. There's nothing ever that you will need to do with it. If it's physical, it can go in the recycling, or it can, if it's digital, you can just delete it or leave it read in your inbox. However you deal with your inboxes, no further action literally means you don't have to do anything with it. Then there's kind of this 4th category, which is really more of a strategy than a category, which is if it'll take less than 30 seconds, do it at sort time. In this book, I think he talks about 2 minutes. If it takes less than 2 minutes to do, go ahead and do it. Some people have said if it's going to take less than 5 minutes, go ahead and do it when you're sorting. I say 30 seconds because as a software engineer who has worked with extreme programming and Scrum for a lot of my career, I know that we are bad at estimating the length of time. And in my experience, there are a lot of things that I think will take less than 2 minutes that actually take more like 10. But if I constrain myself to 30 seconds, I know that I can make a pretty good determination of will it take less or more than 30 seconds, and I'm pretty accurate, probably 90% of the time. Occasionally something comes up where it actually takes longer, something unexpected happens and it's going to take longer than 30 seconds, but for the most part, if I say I can do this in 30 seconds, forward something on to someone else, respond to a Slack message, I can do that in 30 seconds most of the time, unless I have to go researching something, find something in my reference files, that sort of thing. Then it might take longer than 30 seconds. But this allows us to kind of get all of the really tiny stuff out of our to-do list and avoid making just this massive to-do list where at least half of it is really tiny things that we could have just done when we added them to the to-do list. Basically, the threshold is, will it take longer to add to the to-do list than to actually just do the thing? If that's the case, just do the thing. Don't add it to your to-do list. because then you'll spend more mental energy on it. You have it on your to-do list. It might stress you out. It might overwhelm you. And that's obviously the opposite of what we're trying to go for. So that's the tip for today, is just periodically sort your inboxes. That could be once a day. That could be once at the beginning of the day and once after lunch. The converse of that, or the contrapositive, I'm forgetting my logic at the minute, but the idea is that you're not doing that all the time throughout the day, because what happens if we do that is a lot of times we end up not having quite enough time to fully go through the inbox, and there's stuff that just sits there. Maybe it doesn't ever get any attention, doesn't get the attention that it deserves, and that kind of breaks down our process again. So if you liked this video, be sure to hit the thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, check out the playlist of all of my tips for how to work with lower stress. Be sure to share this with your friends and colleagues if you think it'll help you, them. If you want to adopt some of these principles, you can share these videos with your colleagues to kind of explain where you're coming from, why you're doing some of the things they're doing. I found that it's a lot more helpful to share common reference material as opposed to trying to explain why I'm doing a particular thing. If you find that to be the case, be sure to use me as the reference. Share this video. Definitely helps out the channel. If you want to buy those books, please use the links down in the description. And stay tuned for the next episode in this series. Thanks for watching.